and from on the truck.
All right. You know, meet besides.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric, Kelly, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Got it.
doing, man? Good.
Start with questions.
I don't care. What do you mean? I should have a sheet in front of me, think. Am I on? Oh. Look at Dawn.
I'll meet you right now.
Hey, Collier, is that Fullerton? Is that Cal State Fullerton?
No, this is my daughter's travel softball team, Firecrackers. I figured I would just speak all about me today.
The Firecrackers.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about the armpits. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
You guys don't remember last week?
I do. We good to
You
go?
do?
Yeah, Dave, if you want to start us off, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start since my mic's up. Coach, you mentioned in the postgame there's no moral victories, but after looking at the tape and having a couple days to digest everything, can you give us some of the positives? There were plenty of positives. Unfortunately, everybody remembers the final 3 minutes.
Yeah, I remember all the positives, and we're going to learn from the final 3 minutes. Really, really pleased and happy with the way our players played, our coaches prepared. I think it was a direct reflection of our coaches having them emotionally and mentally ready to play at a high level, to play the 8th-ranked team in the country, a Big 12 favorite. That by all the media and by all accounts that's correct. They're a really good team. Senior quarterback whose guys were ready to play. I think we played well in all 3 phases, and we played well enough to win in all 3 phases, David. But we also played in maybe poorly would be fairly drastic in some ways, but missed opportunities in all 3 phases. To capitalize and win a football game. I think there were ways that we let that win slip out in all 3 phases, and there were missed opportunities, as well as we played on defense. Some of the least explosive and the lowest yards per play, if not the lowest, in Big 12 play since we've been here, and the least amount of explosives, which gave us a chance to win. We played great on third down defense, right at 70%. On defense, but we didn't play very well in the red zone, and we didn't get enough turnovers on defense. Offensively, obviously scored a lot of points, but there were 2 opportunities after we stole possessions on special teams that we turned the ball over, one time at the very next play and the other time 2 plays later. And so we didn't capitalize on that. We started the third quarter. The third quarter was really good for us. Score-wise, total yardage-wise, and third downs and turnovers, compared to Texas in the third quarter. But yet we still started with 2 back-to-back 3-and-outs, on offense. So that wasn't good. Special teams, you block a punt, you recover a fumble for a touchdown. I think we did some, we bunted it and stole a possession there. We did some really good stuff, but yet we got 1 blocked for a touchdown, and we didn't. I didn't think our kickoff cover unit did very well all night, and we didn't recover an onside kick at the end. So, all 3 phases. I just kind of summed it up for everybody on here. Probably in any of those 3 phases. Here's the bottom line: any of those 3 phases, if we'd have done one thing, we'd have won the game. We'd have secured victory, and then we would have been talking about those missed opportunities that we need to improve on. So. Bottom line is this, is we did not let week 1 define us as a program with the narrow win over Houston Baptist. We didn't let that define our work ethic or the way we thought about ourselves or any of that. Over the last 2 weeks, we made massive improvement between week 1 and week 2. And we cannot, and I hope will not, let week 2 or game two define us as either. Your opening statement, it is not a moral victory. It absolutely is not. It's a loss. And there's some people around here that, I think some that need to know that, and some that, love telling me that. And so I get it on both accounts, but I think the biggest thing is, do we use that to continue to help us springboard into game 2 in the Big 12 here against Kansas State on the road, a tough team, a very good team, and a very, very well-coached team, one that I have a lot of respect for and how they do everything in their program. And can we make improvement during this week, and what kind of inspiration, what kind of motivation will we take going into this week's practice? That'll remain to be seen. But by all accounts, through yesterday and early this morning, I think our guys have handled it very well, and we're ready to get back on the practice field. I actually wish we were playing today. I wish we were playing right now.
Go to Eric Kelly.
Coach, another week in the Big 12, it just seems like means another dual-threat quarterback that you have to face, this time Skylar Thompson. Are all dual-threat quarterbacks built the same, or is there a different way that you have to defend him than maybe Sam Ellinger?
Well, I think each guy has his own strengths and things that they also what they do differently on offense with them, and that's built into the system. The two systems are different. They're completely different systems. But yet Skylar Thompson is a very durable quarterback. He's very athletic. He's very battle-tested. He's experienced. It seems like very similar to Sam in that he has moxie. He has some of the intangibles, a toughness factor. You win big games, you win close games. I think that is the sign of a great quarterback. The guys, they've had close wins over the last 2 years. He's been a part of those. You can tell by the tone of my voice that I have a lot of respect for him. And very good quarterback and the key to that offense. There's no question.
Go to Ronald Clark.
After the game, Ruocco talked a lot about players buying in a little bit more after seeing what you guys are actually capable of. Did you learn anything new about your team after Saturday's game?
I think, the biggest thing, Ronald, is they are buying in. They are buying into what their assistant coaches and we are saying in terms of how we do things and how we practice. They are buying in. They're buying into each other. The trust factor, I think, is continuing to get strengthened. I think they also gain confidence by their performance and how they prepared. So I think all of that, as we go into another week, we have to understand that got us to the point where we had a chance and to win it. Should have, could have, but didn't win the game. And so we got to keep that preparation and that team togetherness at that same level and be a consistent program week in and week out. That's what we're looking to do.
We'll go to Jarrett Johnson.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
I can.
All right. Hey, it seemed like, the defense played really well early on in the second half. 5 or 6, I think, consecutive stops. And then over the last 3 minutes, it seemed like the pass rush wasn't as hard and the coverage wasn't as tight. And it kind of reminded me of the Baylor game where the defense played great until kind of the end. And it appeared to be kind of a pretty good defense. Is that accurate to say?
No.
Or is it just – okay, it's not. So it's the similar scheme. It just wasn't as executed?
Yeah, we need to tighten coverage down, Jarrett. When I say no, I mean no as in it's a good question and it's a good observation and you're spot on. That I didn't mean no to that. I meant, is that a prevent defense? No. It's called first series of the game. It was called during the third quarter. We challenged receivers better. We did rush the passer better. It's also called trying to chop up the front inside so Sam Ellinger doesn't run quarterback draw that he had been doing earlier in the game. And so there is. I mean, so you want to put 4 on the line, you take 1 more out of coverage. You want to put 5 on the line, and bring pressure, you take another one out. You want to put 6, there's no safety help. So sometimes it's danged if you do, danged if you don't. We've gone over this before. I've told, the best D-line, probably Oklahoma and Baylor had the 2 best D-lines in the league last year. Baylor rushed 3 all the time. They got pressure on the quarterback quite a bit. We have gotten pressure on the quarterback with 3. But there at the end, we did not challenge the receivers enough. No question. We didn't reroute receivers in underneath coverage. The reroute by safeties, down safeties, backers, outside backers. You get 2 guys running down seams on one safety, that can be difficult. The safety's going to get blamed. The safety's going to be the one that everybody in the stadium sees. But yet we either didn't, you didn't rush the passer well enough, like you said, and you're correct. But we also didn't reroute. So not new calls. They were not new calls. It's not called Prevent 3. So no to that. But yes, you're correct. And you know what? We didn't play well in the last 3 minutes, and we know that. And that needs to be. There was some similarities to Baylor, like you said, Jarrett. Absolutely, you're right on that. If we'd have stopped one of those 2-minute drives, just one of them, we win the game. We recover an onside kick. We're out. We don't have to defend the second 2-minute drive. If we had turned, here we go. But I need to play better in the last 3 minutes. There's no question.
Go to Nathan.
Coming up the game that has the highs and lows of Saturday's game, is there part of the conversation that's going to be around not letting the same team beat you twice?
Can you say that again?
Yeah. Is there going to be part of the conversation this week about just not letting the same team beat you twice?
No, probably not, because their head coach doesn't quite understand that. But I think it's my way of saying week 1 did not define us, and week 2 is not going to define us. So I think we're kind of saying the same thing right there. We got it. There's things that we didn't do well. There's missed opportunities that we didn't do well, and we need to work to fix that. There's no question.
Go to Ryan King.
Hey, Coach, what's the toughest thing to overcome after a loss like this one against Texas?
In terms of what?
As far as comparing this game to, other ways to lose with a comeback victory where it looks like you guys are going to be the ones that come back and get that victory, but right now this game was lost. What's the toughest part about overcoming that and, working back after this game?
So you're asking if we'd have come back and gotten beat by a touchdown versus having a 15-point lead with 3:13 to go, or getting beat by 30?
Yeah.
A loss is a loss is a loss. Just like Shelley McVay told me 2 weeks ago, a win is a win is a win. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't help you. We had things that we did very, very well. Whether we'd have been down 3 touchdowns and battled back and gotten beat by 1 touchdown, we would have still had similar missed opportunities and similar things that we needed to work on. So you get beat, but yet you're good enough to have the 15-point lead, and you earned a 15-point lead, and you earned those opportunities. And so you're good enough, and now how do we close them out? And in a young program and a program that we're trying to turn the culture and change this culture, that's the next step that we need to take. And then we got to gain confidence when we get to that step that we can continue to take it each and every time.
Go to Don Williams.
Matt, Kansas State guys presumably have been hearing for the last 48 hours about all the great things that they did on Saturday, and justifiably so. Would you rather face a team in that situation, or would you just assume be facing a Kansas State team that, say, had lost by 10 or 14 points, as most people expected them to do on Saturday?
Yeah, probably you should ask Coach Kleiman that question, because everybody expected us to lose by more than that to Texas, including everybody on here. So maybe we're both in the same boat. 48 hours later, Don, after the game, it kind of is what it is. It doesn't surprise any of us that K-State played like they did. They beat Oklahoma last year. It's a very, very well-coached team. It's an old team. They're experienced, except for the O-line. They've got new O-linemen this year. 2 dynamic outside receivers. 22 is explosive out of the backfield. I've already told you about Skyler. We already know about Skyler. The D-line plays hard. They play really hard. 32, 0, and 22 can flat out run at linebacker. They had some guys down in the secondary, but you wouldn't have known it. I know they had some guys that were unavailable for this game, but you wouldn't have known it playing. They played very well in Norman. I've got a lot of respect for Chris Kleiman. I've known him for a long time. And the guys on his staff I've known, played under one of them. And so a lot of respect for Kansas State. They'll be at home. It'll be a tough road environment, as it always is, I'm told, in Manhattan. This will be my first time going there, but I've asked a lot of people in this league. So, you know, Don, they earned that victory, and they've earned the right to, you know, like you said, people say good stuff about them, and they deserve that. And that's what happens when you win big games like that. And we were 3 minutes and whatever seconds from hearing that about us for the last 48 hours. And then you guys would change the question and say, Matt, how are you going to get them to come off cloud 9 and go play K-State this week? You know, and I would have told you that too. So, you know, Chris will have those guys ready to play. They're a very good team, and in almost all positions, they're very experienced.
What's your plan at left tackle right now? Noticing that Caleb Rogers was in at the end for a good stretch on Saturday.
Yeah, to be determined.
Is there anything wrong?
To be determined.
Is there anything wrong with it?
Yeah, no, Ethan, good competition. Ethan, Caleb Rogers, Josh Berger, Landon Peterson, those are our 4 tackles. Really, it's good competition. Caleb, I think, earned more snaps coming out of the Houston Baptist game, also coming out of practice for the last 2 weeks. So it's good competition there.
Go to Carlos.
Coach already mentioned 22 Deuce Vaughn. I guess what's made so good in his first year, with some collegiate play, just being able to obviously play well at the running back and wide receiver position so far for Kansas State.
He's got make you miss. He's got home run speed, and he's got make you miss ability. So whether he gets in the slot as a receiver or comes out of the backfield, a dynamic playmaker with the ball in his hands.
Go to Phil Mayer.
Hey, Coach. On your offensive drive in overtime, you weren't really able to get much going. What went wrong from your perspective?
Didn't block any guys up front on the opening play. A couple incomplete passes. I mean, not a very productive series. You know, had a chance to win it in that situation in overtime. To tie it or win it, had we gone for 2 at the end, and had a chance in the 2-minute drill. And we're about 6 inches away from kicking a, 40-yard field goal to win the game. We gotta be able to close out, situations, whether it's 2-minute or it's overtime on offense. That's a mark of a great offense. We're not there yet, but certainly got room to be better at that.
Go back to Eric Kelly.
Sticking on the offensive side of the ball, obviously Rodgers been really good at the running back position, but what's your early thoughts been on the guys behind him? Because it seems like we've seen all of them get important touches and do things with those.
Yeah, still early in the year. I think all 3 are talented. Chad and Xavier and Taj, and not enough snaps in the game to get them all a ton of reps, but they do need a ton of reps. They all 3 need practice reps. They need game reps. Sir Roderick's playing very well. He'll be the bell cow, continues to be. I'm proud of Sir Roderick. He's done a great job in the open field, make you miss, with the ball in his hands, either as a running back or as a receiver. He's done a very nice job in protection. I think he's had 2 solid games back-to-back. But all 3 of those guys are talented. I'm glad they're on our team. We got better running back depth, like I told you guys over the summer and in preseason than we've had last year, and we just need more reps for those guys.
Go back to Ron Clark.
We've obviously, already seen some upsets. Baylor's been pushed back basically 3 weeks from the start of their season. Then Kansas State opened their season. They lose to Arkansas State, then upset Oklahoma. I know it's early in the season, but it doesn't already feel like the Big 12 just sort of open for the taking right now?
Yep. Absolutely. Anybody can beat anybody any Saturday.
Go back to Jarrett Johnson.
Hey, Coach, I feel like the transfers were a real bright spot, especially on defense Saturday. And Tyree Wilson was unblockable for stretches, it seemed like. And him and Eli were a really good duo pass rushing. What kind of potential is there for Wilson?
I think Tyree has earned more playing time, and we'll see how this week goes. And just in terms of that rotation, still be rotating all those guys. Jared, I think none of those guys can play 70 or 80 snaps. Not very many D linemen can, especially in a league like ours that you do face tempo offenses and teams that play with pace. Now, I think Tyree was absolutely in his element. He was not out of place. You saw some of those pressures. I thought Colin Schooler played well and played better, actually got better as the game went on. His the way he played, just listening to the defensive staff going through the tape yesterday, he played better in the second half than he did the first half. So I think, he's going to keep getting better. And so, all those guys, there's a lot of transfers over there on defense. I thought Eric played better as the game went on. So, it just takes time. It takes time and system, and some of those guys were actually all three of those guys that I just talked about. Eric got here first, and it was the last week in July. Tyree and Colin got here in the middle of August. So that's not a ton of time in the system, especially with limited reps during August. Good observation by you, and I agree with you. I think they played well, and they played better as the game went on.
Go to David and Ryan and Don to finish this up.
Coach, I got two if I can squeeze them in. The first one, what exactly does Kansas State's defense do? I mean, I think it says a lot that they can hold what typically is a powerful offense in Oklahoma at 14 at home.
Hold them to 14.
Hello?
Hold them to 14.
Hold them to 14.
They held them to 14 points in the second half.
Oh, second half. Yeah, second half. Well, I think the thing that stood out to me was they did have some DBs out that didn't play against Arkansas State for whatever reason. They held up in the secondary. They played well. I just mentioned the linebackers, 32-0 and 22, can flat run, and they play hard. But I'm going to tell you, their D-line, they're very well coached. Buddy, Wyatt, Mike Tuiasosopo, know both of them well. And those two guys are really good coaches. They're veteran coaches. They do a great job. Those four down linemen and then the twos that came in, they played hard. I thought they won. Their D-line won. They dominated up front. Thought they played very well.
And second, I know you talked about Deuce Vaughn. Can you compare him to somebody, and also maybe the problems he just poses in general for you guys?
Well, because of his size, he kind of reminds you, once he gets in space, of the Lockett brothers at K-State. Those are Booker T. Washington, Tulsa, Oklahoma guys that I know a little bit about. Great family. He's dynamic in space. He's a playmaker. Doesn't matter what his size. He plays big. Very talented player, and made big plays on Saturday.
Go to Ryan.
Hey, Coach, after the game, you and the players were talking about how you need to learn how to finish games here early in the season. And learning from the first K-State having to battle back, and they did finish a game at Oklahoma. Now you guys, you're going to need to play the entire 60 against Kansas State. So how good of a matchup is it when you're looking at how to finish a game, and this team learning how to do that?
Well, they're the next team on the schedule, so they have been in 2 close games themselves. We've been in 2 close games. They've won 1 and lost 1. We won 1, lost 1. So pretty good chance Saturday's going to come down to the wire. And 2 good teams playing against each other, and who's going to make the plays down the stretch that give them that opportunity. That'll be obviously a competitive fourth quarter.
All right, we'll go to Don to finish.
Matt, does Dawson didn't have anything that looks longer term?
I don't think so, Don.
Okay. And given, we have yet to see DeMarcus Fields. Does he have anything going on that's non-COVID related? Is he hurt?
I will just not talk about DeMarcus right now, and when he gets on the field, we'll talk a lot about him. That would have answered everybody's questions, Don. That was a solid way that you worded that question. I respect that. I'm going to talk about the guys that have been on the field. You've been thinking about that. That was good, Don.
Well, you said that. I don't think you were wanting to talk about guys who were out with COVID, but guys who were out, who were down with an injury.
No long-term injury. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
He kind of broke the seal on Miles Price on Saturday. Where is he in his development, and how soon can he be a significant factor?
Where is he in his development? Well, 1 game into his true freshman year. Pretty early. Really early. But he is a dynamic playmaker. He's got make you miss ability. He does have some home run speed. He can catch the ball. He can run it. At one point this spring, really throughout the recruiting process, DeAndre Smith thought he could play tailback for us. I know Derek Jones thinks he could play corner for us. Kickoff returner, punt returner. So early, very, very early in a career, early in his development. Bright days ahead for Miles Price. Good days ahead for Miles Price. I'm excited he's a Red Raider.
All right, that'll do it for Coach. We'll be back with Dawson and Adrian here in just a minute. Hey,
Nice try, Don. You tried to get me in from our steals.
start with Eric Kelly for you, all right? I'm going to unmute you here in just a second.
Okay.
All right, we'll get started with questions for Dawson, and we will start with Eric Kelly.
Dawson, as a team, how do you think you guys have responded in the 48 hours post a heartbreaking loss to an in-state rival?
I think everybody on the team knows. No one's okay with losing. Everyone's really disappointed and upset with how the game turned out. I mean, we know we played well. We played well enough to win, and we just need to come together at the end of games and finish. And like I said, just around the facility, everybody knows Saturday wasn't good enough.
Kansas State's D-line was a unit that had a lot of success on Saturday against Oklahoma. What have you seen from them and what you've seen on tape so far?
Yeah, they're another 4-down defense. So, they're always a group of guys in K-State. They always play hard. They're always well coached, disciplined football players. So, it's the same thing with them every year. We have a good challenge up front, and we need to go out there and lead the offense through the O-line, and that's what we got to do on Saturday.
Through 2 games, how do you guys think you're gelling in terms of 5 on the O-line that need to act as 1?
Yeah, I think we've done a good job. It was a little different with training camp and fall camp being a little different this year. But I think, especially during the first game against Houston Baptist, I think we had a good consistency on the O-line, and like you said, we gelled together. And having Berger and Ethan come in at tackle, I think those guys have done a great job, and we've done a really good job playing as an O-line, not just 5 separate O-linemen, just playing as a whole. And that's something we need to continue to improve on, but I think we're off to a good start in that regard.
We'll go to Phil Mayer.
Dawson, from my vantage point, you guys as an offense looked a little discombobulated on that drive in overtime. Was it sort of hard to come back or to put together a good drive after they had that huge late comeback, or was it sort of something else?
I think especially when it gets to overtime as a team, we just got to focus up, come together, and just offense and defense know we got each other's back, and we just got to, continue to fight in overtime. And what we did on offense in overtime obviously wasn't good enough, and we have a lot of things to improve on, and we've been talking about that, and we'll get it fixed.
Go to Carlos.
Hey, Dawson, you kind of mentioned it already, but just with guys moving in and out on the offensive line, especially last weekend, how did you feel Caleb played? Just a guy that you've spoken highly about before, and just being able to kind of get in there and obviously try and play up to the potential of the guy that was there before him at left tackle.
I think Caleb came in and played well. It's not easy Caleb's a true freshman. He got here in June. So, he's really only been here, taking physical reps, learning the offense for 3-4 months. So, it's huge what he came in and was able to do against a talented front like Texas. So I'm really excited to keep watching Caleb grow as an O-lineman, and he'll be a really good player for us.
Last one from me. I know everyone's going to look at the final score, but just being able to put up 50-plus points, do you kind of feel like that is what you all are looking for in terms of the offense, or were there still some things that you all know that you have to work on to kind of make it work a little bit better?
Yeah. I think overall on offense we did good, but one thing we got to do better, and we've already talked about it a bunch since Saturday, is running the football, and that's something that starts with us up front on the O-line, and we got to get more movement, stay on our assignments, things like that, but that's definitely something we need to improve on as an offense and an O-line.
Go to Ryan King.
Hey, Dawson, with UA and K-State both having really close games here to start the season, how much do you guys embrace those late fourth quarters where the game's really, hanging in the balance one way or the other?
We know close games. That's something last year we struggled with. We lost some close games, and like 2 points, 3 points, whatever it was, and it's been an emphasis all off season. That's something we need to do better, finish close games and win those games. So, I mean, that's something we're going to continue to improve upon and something that's constantly preached to us. And we know that we just got to come together as a team, offense, defense, play together, and find a way to win those games.
And how do you work on that in a practice setting? You know, is it really just eventually seeing it on the field and getting a tough late win, or how do you work on that in a practice setting?
I mean, I really think it's more of just a whole week of approach, like preparation, preparing for your opponent. I mean, getting ready for what they do on offense and defense, getting yourself ready physically, mentally, just doing all that stuff. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to more than anything.
Go to Ronald Clark.
After the game, Rico talked about a lot of players buying in a little bit more after seeing what you guys can do against a team like Texas. Did you learn anything new about your team after that game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought a lot of guys showed fight, showed passion on the field on Saturday. I mean, we had a lot of people doubting us and a lot of people saying we couldn't do it. I mean, we came out, we were battling all game. Obviously, it's not the result we wanted, but I saw a lot of fight out of our guys, and I mean, it was good to see that, and I'm happy with where our team is in that regard.
Go to Eric Kelly.
Dawson, then in the second half, you guys went into something that maybe we don't see from y'all a lot, which is a lot more, I guess, taking up some of the play clock before running your plays, a little more time of possession. Is that something y'all consciously at halftime decided you were going to do? And does it take a mental adjustment to do that when you're so used to get on the ball, snap the ball within 10 seconds of a play in?
Well, when we started going slower was towards the end of the game when we were in a 4-minute situation. So when we were trying to run the clock out and stuff like that, we weren't necessarily trying to get on the ball really fast and do the tempo our offense normally runs. So in that situation, we were trying to take more time off the clock and snap it as late as we could.
But even the 12-play drive, I think that ended in a missed field goal, went about 7 minutes, which 12 plays for most teams maybe takes that. But for you guys, it's a little more high-paced. Was that the goal to kind of keep the defense off the field a little bit longer than maybe usual with how back and forth that what this game was? And it seemed like people were scoring on one-play drives, two-play drives a lot.
No. I mean, sometimes it might, like, sometimes we have a call at the line and we simulate the snap so the defense shows what they're doing and we get into a different play. So, I mean, that might have been what was taking a little longer, but we didn't consciously make an effort to slow down our tempo, no.
All right, that'll do it for Dawson. We'll be back with Adrian Fry here in just a few seconds. Thanks, Dawson.
Yep.
Fry, you're good to go.
I could take this off.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, we'll start with Eric Kelly for questions for Dawson, or for Fry, pardon me.
Adrian, those last 4 minutes where it seemed like Texas was just finding receivers open, after you guys really did a really good job, especially in that second half of kind of preventing those big plays, what changed?
I feel like we as a defense got a little bit too comfortable. We let our highs get a little bit too high, and then guys started tweaking their assignments a little bit, not doing the exact same things that they were doing in the beginning of the third and the beginning of the fourth quarter. And I think that it just cost us. It had guys busting coverages they weren't busting all game, and we pretty much just beat ourselves.
How much does that then help you, I guess, the rest of the season when you guys can reflect back on that? And regardless if you're up 3 or 30, you can say, hey, clearly no game is ever out of reach, so we need to keep that intensity persisting.
Just saying that we could hang with the best in the conference, seeing that we could play as well as we did, and just knowing that now that we put it on tape, it has to be a recurring thing. We have to do that day in and day out, every weekend, every time we face somebody in the Jones or in anybody's stadium. We know that we can play football the way we want to play football, and then just moving forward, just whether we're down or up, it doesn't matter. Like as long as we play football the way we play football, we can be in the game with anybody.
What stands out about what Kansas State has on the offensive side of the ball?
Those guys are very physical team, and they're very disciplined. And that's the type of that's the type of program that mentally they eliminate as many mistakes as possible. And those guys are really the kind of team that really put you to the test, because you play some undisciplined teams where they might make a bad throw or they might make a bad call or whatever, and you might just capitalize on that. And you really have to be on your P's and Q's against a team like K-State, where they're very disciplined in what they do and their approach to the game. So just knowing that we have to go into that game and play our best football every week, go in there, approach them the same way we approach Texas, and just play aggressive and do our assignments.
Go to Carlos Silva.
Adrian, I know there was a lot made about the defensive backs, the way they played the first week. I guess what were some of the improvements you saw week 2 that made you all play that much better and maybe not have as many pass interference calls or holding calls? Or I guess what really changed to help you all play that much better?
I would say we came together and we really relied on each other. We took that opportunity that first week to learn from our mistakes. We busted too many coverages that first week, so we came in, we were dialed in, and we were ready to lock in on our assignments, make sure we did everything that we were supposed to do, like every play, make sure we were sprinting to the ball, being overly exercising the pursuit to the ball, with just being as energetic and playing as hard as we could, because we played pretty lackadaisical that first week, and just knowing that we got to have that confidence that we can play with anybody and just coming out and playing our type of football.
Is it fair to say you all were also able to kind of play together a little bit more than maybe you had in previous weeks, and that gave you a little bit more chemistry? And how much did that help, just to be able to play with guys and kind of know how they would react to a certain situation after either watching it on tape, like you said, or just kind of playing with them on the field?
Well, we spent a lot of time together between that first game in Texas this past weekend, so we knocked out we smoothed out any rough edges that we had, and we really just came together to play hard and just rely on each other. So whenever when things go bad, just come to the sideline, talk it out, making any adjustments that we need to make, and let's go out there and let's be excited, let's play, let's have fun, and do our assignments.
Go to Ron King.
Hey, does it feel like you guys can get in a better routine than it has been to start the season, as far as there's not a bye week, you can kind of just go from one game to the next and just keep the season hopefully rolling?
It feels good to actually feel like we're playing normal football again, because the first couple weeks of the season, it didn't really feel like football season. It didn't really feel the way it normally feels, like having so many weeks off and stuff like that. So now that we're back in the groove of things and everything's feeling how it's supposed to feel, I feel like I really feel confident in how we're going to progress and attack every week.
And does that help you as far as just learning from one game to the next, like implementing new changes, or how does that help to not have those bye weeks, to not have so much time off, and just be able to go from week to week?
It let us know that we have to be efficient every day. We can't really go into meetings and be relaxed. We have to be dialed in every day. We have to watch film on our own, come in as a defensive backs group or a defensive unit, come in and watch film without the coaches, so we can talk to each other, get on the same page, and just knowing that we have to be more up tempo, so we can't be too procrastinative.
Go to Dawn.
Adrian, I was just looking at the forecast for Manhattan on Saturday, and I saw it's supposed to be 69 degrees on Saturday, which is very different from what it was 2 years ago. What do you remember about playing in those conditions up there the last time you went up to K-State?
It was freezing. It was blistering cold, and we went out there expecting it to be around like 45, 50 with a little bit of overcast, or maybe the sun would be out, but it was the complete opposite of what we were expecting. And it was freezing cold. Everybody was shivering on the sidelines. It was hard to stay warm, and those were some trying conditions.
How much does that affect your play when you're in conditions like that?
Well, it's kind of hard to get in the groove of things because being from Texas, like, it doesn't really get too cold down here. I mean, Lubbock is different from Houston, from where I'm from, but you kind of get a little warm. Like, it's easier to get warm, and once you get warm, it's not that hard to stay warm. But when you're in conditions like that, it's kind of hard to stay warm because the moment you come off the field, you're on the sideline, it's like your body freezes, goes straight to bricks, and it really affects how you get into the groove of things while you're actually on the field. It's like restarting every drive.
Go to David Collier.
Adrian, can you kind of compare Skylar Thompson maybe to his style of play to Sam, and also I'll follow up after that, but just a comparison of their styles and what they do similar, and maybe how Thompson's a little different.
Well, both of these guys are smart quarterbacks, and they're both very confident players. Both of them have no problem running the ball. That's easy for them. They're thick guys. They're durable. They're really good at being able to pull the ball and run with it and getting that first down and getting that extra yard. With K-State being more of a run-first team, I would say that he actually pulls the ball on reads more than Ellinger does. But I would say as far as a pass standpoint, they're both pretty good at what they do.
They kind of lull you to sleep with their run game. I mean, because they certainly don't pass it a lot, but when they do, especially this past weekend, they were pretty effective doing it. How do you keep yourself ready as a defensive back?
You have to stay dialed in every play. Every play you have to expect that you're the only person on the field that can make the play. So when it's a passing down, or if it's a run down, you have to make sure that you have your eyes on your key. You have to stay disciplined with your eye control, and you have to play confident and be a master of who you are and what kind of defense you're playing in.
Go to Ron Clark, then we'll end with Eric Kelly.
With the way that you guys played against Texas, and then obviously K-State going and getting that upset over Oklahoma State or Oklahoma, does it feel like this conference is more open than it's ever been?
I personally feel like it's not over till it's over. So I never really believe that anything is just wide open. I just know that we have the guys on this team that can go out and we can win the Big 12 this season. Seeing that we can hang with the best of them and take them to overtime, and Texas is seen as the best in the conference. We can go in there and we can run with anybody. There's nobody in this conference that's just gonna walk over us, and knowing that everybody is beating each other, like, it just gives me confidence that we can go in and beat everybody we play.
All right, we'll finish with Eric Kelly.
A little under 48 hours, since a heartbreaking loss to an in-state rival, how do you think guys have responded mentally and just physically?
I think guys are really dialed in now, seeing that, well, a guy like me, I've been here since we won that game in down in Austin when it came down to the wire, as usual, and every time we play Texas, it's going to be a fight. But losing to Texas, man, it kind of makes you a little upset, and just knowing that we played them very first, it's like we want to play them again. So now it's like everybody's going to be dialed in, everybody's going to be doing the extra work, everybody's going to be buying in even more and more and more every day, and we plan to come attack everybody this season.
All right, that'll do it for This session, we'll be back with the two coordinators around 1 p.m. today. Thank you.
Thank y'all.